Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. Race number 5 on Black-Eyed Susan Friday at Pimlico is the Skipat Stakes. We're going 6 furlongs for fillies and mares 3-year-olds and up. Our coverage is presented by DRF Bets. Sign up for a new DRF Bets account and you can bet the Preakness with free cash. You get a $100 deposit match bonus at drf.com/bet. Let's take a look at the field for race number 5, the Skipat Stakes at Pimlico on Friday. Matt, one of the big storylines this weekend, unfortunately, is going to be the weather. We are expecting messy days and wet racetracks.
And I think that could be a major factor in all these races, particularly horses that have success over wet racing surfaces as opposed to those that have never seen it before. The racetrack, as we're recording this on Wednesday, during the morning, it looked like an absolute mess, and it sounds like it's only going to get worse. So I think you automatically have to upgrade those who have run successfully over wet surfaces.
Let's begin with our 7-5 morning line favorite. That's the number 4, Miss Locust Point, who comes out of a key edition of the Grade 1 Madison at Keeneland on April the 7th. Usually we don't like those bunched up finishes on dirt, but that race has now produced 2 Grade 1 stakes winners, the winner of the Humana Distaff and the La Troyenne a couple of weeks ago at Churchill Downs. I was a little surprised that Miss Locust Point didn't show her customary early speed in that spot, but she's getting class relief and she has won over a very wet racetrack in the past.
I suppose she's strictly the horse to beat in here based on the class lines. You see who she's ran against. You brought up the fact that you had 2 Grade 1 winners come out of that race. I have to be honest, I didn't think it was one of her best efforts, but if you think that she can get back to one of the better ones, and again, you brought up that she's won over a wet track, no reason to think she won't run well.
The number 3, Start With Silver, ships down from New York for the always dangerous trainer Linda Rice. I thought this mare overcame a rather slow pace to win last time out, and the Beyer speed figure of 82, well, it's kind of hard to get a high Beyer speed figure when the pace is slow. Last time she ran on a sloppy track, 3 starts back, she freaked with a career-high 96 Beyer speed figure. Which Start With Silver would you be handicapping for in this race?
Probably somewhere in the middle, to be honest. The 82 Beyer and the 96 Beyer, if you think you're going to get something in the high 80, maybe even low 90 range, that makes her a player. You also have to factor in, she seems like one of the true horses that's going to come from off of the pace. And I know that she hasn't caught much pace in some of these other races. If you think they're going to go fast early on, I'd imagine she's going to come with a legitimate run. And again, you brought up that wet track race 3 back. It's hard to ignore that.
Karen, the number 1, is coming off of a real solid performance in the Primanetta Stakes behind a nice filly in Chalone. That one came back to run second last week in the Grade 3 Vagrancy at Belmont with an 89 Beyer speed figure. This horse has a versatile running style. She has won over a good track, not really a real soupy race course, but she's versatile, she's solid, and I think she still has some improving left. She's hit the board in 9 of 10 starts.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of trip she works out from down on the inside. If you think the speeds go, perhaps she gets first run on any of the deep closers in here. You brought up of the 2 times that she's run on a less than fast main track, she's hit the board in both of them and won one.
Let's take a look at the Timeform U.S. Pace Projector for race number 5, the Skipat Stakes on Friday. The 7 Everlasting Secret is expected to make a slight lead over the 8 Vertical Oak and the 4 Miss Locust Point. Everlasting Secret finished behind Karen in her last 2 races. She does have speed, but there are questions about class.
I don't think she's good enough to win in a race like this, but this is another instance where if you do believe the pace projector and you find out at this point, you figure this is going to be what, race number 5 on Friday afternoon. If there's going to be some speed bias, maybe that's something that you're going to have to keep an eye on. You're going to have to keep an eye on that all weekend, to be honest.
Number 5, Lucky All My Life. We see her sitting 4th in the Timeform U.S. Pace Projector. Maybe she would benefit if the pace is faster than expected, like she did last time out at Turfway Park, where there was a really fast and contested pace up front, and she came with a good, strong run to win over the polytrack surface. The good news is she is capable on dirt, but again, there are some class concerns.
Yeah, I don't think she's good enough, but it is nice to know that she's never been out of the money in the 6 wet track starts, and I have to be honest, I think she's a little bit better on a synthetic racing surface. Perhaps she's won underneath at a big number.
Jockey T.D. Houghton had his choice between Catalyst the 6, Lucky All My Life the 5, chose the 5, Lucky All My Life, which makes me think that the 6 Catalyst will run a little bit later in the afternoon, stretching out in the Hilaire DuPont. If she runs here with the addition of blinkers, maybe she shows a little speed.
Maybe a little bit more forwardly placed. She's another one, though, as far as class is concerned, as well as speed figures. She's a little bit light on both.
What do you make of this placement for the 2 Toby girls? She came off a little bit of a layoff rolling at Parks in a 2-turn race. It was a really solid performance. Yes, the Beyer was weak against weaker competition, but she's cutting all the way back to 6 furlongs while stepping up in class. I think she wants a little bit more distance, and I have a feeling she wants a lot more pace.
We like turnbacks. This is a significant turnback in this spot, and you're going to have to hope that they're going to heat up front. The wet track shouldn't be much of an issue, but I can't imagine her being as close as she has been in some of these other races. I think she's going to come from much farther out of it.
You mentioned in the Open that all weekend long you want to be looking for horses with prior winning experience over wet tracks. And as we take a look at our top selections for race number 5, the Skipat Stakes, Vertical Oak. Boy, she just seems like a mud lark. Her 2 career best performances by far have come over wet surfaces.
Yeah, they have, but I suppose you could look at it the other way too and say that most recent start in the Carousel was over a sloppy sealed track. And what happened, I'm going to be kind and say she was forward off of a layoff and needed one. And if you get back to those other wet track races that she has in her form, she's just one of the horses to beat in here. I also love the outside post. She's won at Pimlico in the past. I know that race, the Carousel, hasn't come back all that strong, but I just think she could work out a beautiful trip sitting just off of Miss Locust Point. Maybe she's not good enough at this point, but I think she'll have everything go her way in this spot.
I agree with you about everything that you said, and she always seems to run well second time of the form cycle. A maiden winner at Saratoga, second time out. Winner of the Goldfinch Stakes over the sloppy track, second off of the layoff, and now she gets to go second off the layoff. And I don't think it was the wet track last time out. I think she was a little bit short. I think Asmussen has pointed her for this race pretty much since he stopped on her in the fall. And you're right about the outside post position. You're going with Vertical Oak, and 9-2 seems like a very fair price on the morning line.
Yeah, I don't know that she ends up going off there. I wonder if she's closer to the 3-1, 7-2 range, but even at that point, she's probably going to be the second choice behind Ms. Locust Point. I have to be honest, to me, it's strictly those two.
I agree with you. I'm going to go 4-8 in here. I'm hoping that Miss Locust Point shows that speed. I think it's very, very important. It wasn't there in the Madison, which was kind of surprising since she was on the lead in her 3 prior starts before the Madison. Maybe she was just in too tough. She gets the class relief. I think she shows the speed. She handles a wet track. I want to use Vertical Oak as well. 4-8-1-5 for me in the Skip It. Race 5 at Pimlico on Friday. Again, you can bet the Preakness with free money with DRF Bets. Sign up for a new account to drf.com/bet. You'll get a $100 deposit match bonus. Approximate post time for race number 5 at Pimlico on Friday, 1:34 Eastern. Best of luck.